Okay, so I'm doing some makeup. I'm not doing it live. I have this because I have a pimple starting and I'm trying to stop it ahead of time. I am using some palettes I haven't used in a long time and augmenting shimmers in case I need to with a palette that I have used very recently because it is always next to my makeup desk because I use it as a shimmer augmentation all the time. Now, if you see me looking over here, this is my mirror. So I'm gonna try to look at the viewfinder as much as possible, but it is much easier for me to see if something's blended out in my mirror and to see if it's fully pigmented, because I'm gonna tell you, sometimes it looks fully pigmented here and it doesn't over here and vice versa. So yeah. Also, when I did this, I could see my nail polish. This is my Feminine Rage nail art, and I am pretty gosh darn happy with it because the world sucks and we're just having to deal with it. Okay, so today I sort of wanted to go, my dogs are the worst. Okay, so this is take two. I've already primed and set my eyes, and then my dogs were the worst assholes on earth. So I'm just gonna start with the makeup. Hopefully my dogs don't continue being assholes. Something I said previously, and I'm gonna say again for clarity's sake. This is my phone. This is my mirror. When I'm looking like this, it's because I'm double checking things in the mirror. Sometimes the phone likes to show me that something's fully pigmented and fully blended, and then I look in the mirror and it's not. And then sometimes vice versa, and I cannot trust it in either direction. So every so often I'm gonna look over here just to make sure that everything is doing okay. I'm trying to keep this under 15 minutes because that is how long I want to take on my makeup, and B, because that's how long makeup videos that can go into my shared album on my iPhone photo app can be. There's a possibility that at around 10 to 15 minutes I will stop and then I will start a new video to finish up whatever needs to be done. But I'm hoping that the eyeshadow itself hits within the 15-minute mark, but like liner, lips, cheek, and stuff might not. I don't think I'm going to use foundation today, mostly because I work from home now, and unless I'm doing something really wild and crazy where it feels like it would be best to have foundation with it, I will probably opt out of it. Or if I'm like going somewhere after work, or if I know I've got a meeting with a crazy important person, which I might start having in the near future. So I'm using a sort of swampy green, and then I'm going to deepen it up. This is a palette that I don't think exists anymore, so I'm not talking about specific shade names. If you have the, oh my god, my dogs are assholes. If you have the Lunar Beauty Spell Book 1 or whatever it's called, I am using the greens from that, but do not go out and pay exorbitant amounts for an old palette just so that you can do this look. There are plenty of new palettes out there that have greens that would perform similarly, though I have to say, holy shit, I have slept on this formula. Manny MUA, I knew he was good at makeup. I knew he was decent at reviews when he wasn't being a shill, which he really isn't as much anymore. I won't say not at all, because I don't watch a ton of his content anymore. But like, I remember when he was a crazy shill for like Morphe and stuff, and it just doesn't feel the same on his channel anymore. He feels a lot more, when I see him, he feels a lot more honest and open, and I know that his makeup brand is done really well. I own these two palettes, but I got them for aesthetic purposes. This is probably gonna make it longer, but look how cute they are. They look like a little book on my shelf. And like, once again, not a reason to buy a palette, but they were on sale somewhere, and so oh my god, I need a new phone mount. I have one, I just haven't I bought it when both of them were on sale because he has 2 Love Spell books, and frankly, I've used them each like maybe twice, and I then have bought other things since then, and so they've sort of been forgotten. And this year is a year of not buying new stuff unless I'm really drawn to it for some reason, and after I give a long thinking process before buying it. I'm just going to keep deepening up because I really like how these colors play together. He did such a good job putting these colors together, and the formula is amazing. But I'm trying to just use what I have around me and get rid of the things that don't live up to quality or that are too similar to something else I own. Like, I'm really trying to end my overconsumption, and I know that I can't undo the overconsumption I've already done. I own too much makeup, I own too much nail polish, but I can at least give the love and attention to everything I own instead of buying new stuff all year this year. This year I have bought no makeup yet except for replacements. I replaced a brow gel in December because it is really the only one I use at this point, and it's ColourPop, so it was like $5. I have bought some new lip balms, but that's mostly because I've sort of moved away from using most of my lipsticks unless I'm going somewhere. So I wanted something that's a little bit more everyday wear with a little bit more pigment. And so I've been trying out a few of those. I'm now using another palette that I bought for the packaging, and frankly, I love the shimmers in here. The mattes are good too, they're just boring. I will almost never use the mattes with these shimmers because these shimmers are gorgeous and a great formula, but they're pretty low key. Like, this green is pretty medium, but like, it's not a perfect match for these colors, and I do think I'm going to end up layering something else on top of it, but it's such a beautiful formula, and I figured I might as well try to use 2 formulas that I don't give enough love to in one makeup video. Okay, so that's gonna be the bulk of my colorful shimmer. I do think I'm gonna come in with my, yes, I am flipping you off upside down and upside right. Isn't that awesome? I am gonna come in with my Danessa Myricks. This is from her volume 6, yeah, volume 6 Lightworks palette, and I do think I want to use a little bit of this over top of that. It is a beautiful, yeah, just adds a little bit more kick and a little bit more brightness, but it's not taking away the color of that last shimmer. That last shimmer provides a really nice base for it. And that last shimmer is very emollient, which I like for my lids. By the way, this is a mix of those 2 colors, whatever was left on my finger, and I think it's so pretty. Very emollient, and these are a little bit more dry, which over a glitter primer, totally fine for me. But I do think that that sort of emollient shimmer helped this one stick a little bit better, even without adding more eye primer. Speaking about adding more eye primer, I washed off the swatch I did and my excess sticky hand primer. I'm adding just a little bit more. This is the NYX glitter primer. It is something I'm repurchasing as soon as I run out because it is the only glitter primer and like before shimmer primer that I use that I like every time I use it. I bought a nice expensive one from Pat McGrath in stick format, being like, oh, I can be so precise with this. And Danessa golly gee, I'm so sorry, Danessa, I love you. Pat McGrath makes beautiful shimmers, and but like, they don't always stick to my lids very well, so let's see if we can use her like glitter primer to make them stick better. I'm here to tell you that did not work. Let's see. I want to use this yellow to green shimmer on my inner corner. This looks like just a white to yellow shimmer, but as you can see on the black, a lot of peach to it, whereas this looks like it's very yellow, but as you can see on the black, it's got a lot of green to it. So I really just want to take a small, dense, fluffy brush, and I want to dip into that yellow to green, and I want to paint it all over my inner corner and inner lid, and then I'm going to work back and forth between the yellow and the green to make those two shimmers meet in the middle and blend nicely. And since they're in the same little part of this palette, and they're in the same approximate color family, like they're analogous to each other, they should blend together really nicely. So the way I'm going to do that is this finger has the least amount of fingernail. You can see my finger above it, and this has slightly more, but not as much more as this or this. Like it goes middle, then this, and then these two, and this one are very nailed. So I'm going to use these two. This one's going to be my inner corner close to the eye, dipping in that yellow shade. And then this one, because I don't want to stick my fingernail right there, is going to be for the outer portion, dipping in the green shade. And then I'm going to go back and forth. So I'm going to start with the green shade on both eyes, and then I'm going to go in with that yellowy green on both eyes, and I'm going to pick both shades back up. I forgot that this has such a like reddy brown shift to it. Holy cow. That's gonna add so much dimension on the eyes that I forgot even existed in this shade. But I set it far away from me and the light hit it just right for me to see the duochrome shift. Oh my goodness, it's so gorgeous. Okay, so this is, I think, where I'm leaving the eyeshadow mostly alone, but before the end of my 15 minutes, I am gonna take my smaller fluffy brush that I used for that darker green. I really need a different setup. I just need to find what setup that I own the pieces for works the best for me, and then I need to actually set it up, because I've had my spouse, my loving, adoring spouse, who is one of the best people I know. Those of you who knew them before they became sort of who they truly are and stepped out of their shell finally are probably like, what the fuck? They were a bit of a grouchy control freak who didn't let me get away with stupid shit. And now you'd be like, oh, they're still a bit of a control freak. They still won't let me get away with shit, but they're like fun and jovial about it, and also the kindest person on earth, because every time I say, okay, this is it, I'm finally starting my YouTube channel, they're like, let's get you a full setup. So they got me this like mirror with lights, and they got me this light with a phone clip attached to it, and they're just trying to make sure that everything is set up for me so that I can do my dream. And this is me finally saying, paying you back by actually doing it. Hopefully this will be one of my first YouTube videos once I get the confidence to post it. This is 12 minutes in, so I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to start, and I'm going to do my waterline color. I'm going to fill in my brows. I'm going to do a bronzer for some light contouring, a cheek and highlight color, and we'll figure out what we're doing for our lips. Oh, and mascara. Duh. Awesome. See you in a couple minutes for me and no time at all for you. All right, welcome back. I have gathered everything that I need, so I'm hopefully reaching around for less stuff, and let's get started with our waterline. I grabbed two possible ones from ColourPop, one that I don't think exists anymore, but I'm sure you can find a similar shade somewhere. It's just a nice light green to yellow shimmer. It's slightly the wrong tone of green. It's a lot more cool toned rather than warm toned. But the other one is, I believe, still available. It's from their Multichrome. And this one is quite a bit darker. It's much more warm. I may end up doing this on the outer corner and either this or something a little bit more yellow toned in the inner corner. But I do think I want to start with this in the outer corner, definitely. For those of you who haven't tried any of ColourPop's liners, I am here to tell you they can be hit or miss, but the hits far outweigh the misses. And for how much you spend on them, which is not much at all, it is worth it to buy the colors you like and find out that one or two of them are misses and the rest are hits, than it does for you to buy something like the ones that I have always gotten myself as like my special treats to myself because I know they're going to be a hit every time, are the Marc Jacobs and the Urban Decay. And wow, they're both fabulous. And I own quite a few that I really like. Actually, there's an Urban Decay I think I want to use on my inner corner. It is this guy right here. And by the way, if that ColourPop is discontinued and you can't find something from them, if this still exists from Urban Decay, very similar shade, more expensive, but just like the ColourPop one, it's a definite hit. I've only had one from Urban Decay that wasn't a hit, and that was quite some time ago. I'm going sort of under my waterline with this just to brighten it up. I can see it more here than I can see it in camera, but it is just adding sort of that green, that lighter green haze, so that you can see it with that shimmer from the ColourPop one, and I actually really like that addition. So, by the way, this definitely does still exist. You can buy it at Ulta or their own website, and this one is called Wild Idea. It is one of my favorite of their multi-chromes because you really can see that green to gold shift like a beetle really, really easily. I actually want to add, because I don't want to have taken it off with that Urban Decay, so I just want to make sure that I reestablish it before I move on. Okay, so there is my waterline, and now I'm going to do brows. Brows are something that I don't particularly think I do a good job on. I do think that that's partly because I was about to say I grew up makeup wise. I like started doing makeup during the 2016 to 2018 like heavy, almost Sharpie looking, sharp edged, you know, use concealer to cut around it to make it the crispiest brow that you've ever had. They were thick, they were blocky, and A, I didn't like how it looked on me. B, I didn't always like how it looked on other people unless they had the super glam makeup to match. When I just saw people like out and about with just like that brow, some mascara, and like a nude matte liquid lip, because that was the thing, and then like a pound of gold highlighter, which like I still do that, so I'm not judging any of it. Like, makeup is makeup, you do what makes you happy. But like I would see that and I'd be like, I don't necessarily want to emulate that, and not in a mean way, just in like a, that is their style and it's definitely not mine. But when the fluffy brows came up, where people were like using the like clear brow gel to like fluff it up, that was also not my style. It was too fluffy. My style, I've discovered, is mostly natural. I like a little bit of filling in because I've got some spaces where it's a little sparse and it's pretty uneven, and I'm going to tell you, it's still pretty uneven in terms of filling it in, and it is still pretty sparse. I am trying to make my hair grow back. I look like I'm postpartum, but I've never had a child. I do wonder if it's a thyroid thing. I love that I'm talking to you like you are here in the room with me, or like this is alive and there are people who can respond to me, but like it's fucking not. But yes, so and then I use a tinted brow gel. These are both from ColourPop. I'm not a ColourPop shill. I don't have a code with them. I really like some of their products a lot. I do think that their eyeshadows are good, but I just have too many palettes from them, and also they're doing a lot of very repetitive color stories where it's 90% like brown or warm tone neutrals or cool tone neutrals, and then a few cool pops of color. But like for me, where I have, you know, palettes with like actually really cool, interesting color stories that are super different, where it's like it has some neutrals, but they're interesting neutrals. It has some brights, but they're really curated. Like this is much more interesting to me than what ColourPop is doing with their palettes. And that's just a me thing, and it's totally fine. But their brows, the pencil and the gel, perfection. When I run out, I buy more. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to use a very shiny palette that I also don't think exists, but I got this a few years ago, and it just has some very neutral tones. I'm going to be using this as my bronze contour, this as my blush. I do not think I'm going to use this highlighter because I do think I'm going to dip into the absolutely gorgeous Odin's Eye sort of green to gold highlighter, but we'll see. We'll play around. So I've never bronzed or contoured correctly, and then just recently a professional like wedding makeup artist that I follow on YouTube who does amazing YouTube shorts, which means she probably has a thriving thriving TikTok that she's pulling all these from. But she does like true stories about her her like makeup wedding business, but recently she's also been talking about like things you do with your makeup that like ages you or makes you look cakey or makes your skin look worse. And she also lovingly was like, hey, look how beautiful my makeup looks from here. And then she like got super close and she's like, crease city, baby, which I'm not wearing anything on my face that can crease, but like I am like, my eyeshadow isn't perfect when I get that close. And she's like, whenever you have a mirror, like don't hold it up here, hold it back here, because that's where people are gonna see you from. Yeah, if they get real close, they'll see what you see in the mirror, but anyone who's this close to you probably should back the fuck off, you know? Oh my god, I'm gonna run out of my 15 minutes because I'm just chatting. But yeah, I just use a small brush and I sort of carve out my cheekbones, carve out under my chin, and lightly dust along the edges of my brow bone. And that's all I do. I'm now going to take a blush brush and very carefully take that blush in the middle. Things with pans that are this small, I often find very hard to control where my brush goes because I like large bronzer and blusher brushes. Though I will say they've left enough space, and it is not as tiny as some of the others I've received, so I do pretty well with this palette. But like there are some where it was like eyeshadow sized pans. This is definitely not an eyeshadow sized pan, but they were like eyeshadow sized pans, and there was like no space in between the bronzer, blush, and contour. So if you picked up one, you picked up two, and it just didn't work out. I gave those away or threw them away very quickly depending on how much I liked the formula. Now, this I thought was going to be way too dark for my skin tone. It's not. It's actually lovely on me. It's just not the vibe I'm going for. So I am picking up that Odin's Eye palette, and I still do the 2016 to 2018 Glow to the Gods, you know, see me from space, that Nikki Tutorials would say, as Teresa is Dead would say, the slutty alien glow, where I just want people in space to see me and go, she's a slut for some highlighter. Like, that's nice. Let's add more. I actually think I may wet my face, so I'm going to use setting spray all over my face to blend in what I have already, and then before it fully dries, I'm going to add my highlighter. setting spray do I use? Whatever I have on hand. The one that I'm using right now, I got in a set from e.l.f., their Tinder collection. I like it just fine, but like, am I going to figure out which version of their setting spray this is? Yeah. And like, buy the non-Tindery version? Perhaps not. Setting spray is something that I usually get for the packaging or the scent. So like, I really don't support Morphe for any reason anymore. I just think that they really created a lot of the negative everything that goes on in the makeup space today. Like, not single-handedly, but they created it. And I just don't want to like try out all their new products and stuff. But their continuous spray setting spray, my absolute favorite. It has a beautiful continuous mist. It smells pretty good. It holds really nicely. I've got no complaints, except that it's made by Morphe. Okay, so I've done everything except for my lips. God, look at that. That's what I want. And I realize that that's 2016 and I don't give a damn. I'm going to cut this off again, and I'm going to put away the stuff I don't need anymore, and then I will walk you through my lip combo and my mascara. See you in a few minutes for me and in no time at all for you. Hello again. So I realized I hadn't done my graphic liner and I promised myself I would. So I'm going to start with a Wonderskin lip tint in Hush, which is a nice neutrally tone. Don't be surprised by what this looks like going on. These need to go on totally empty lips. No gloss, no balm, not even chapstick. And you put it on as carefully as possible because this is a lip stain. Something I learned about myself very early. I don't know what shape my lips are, so it turns out different almost every time. Gonna layer it up so it's nice and thick. Trying not to go too far into my mouth. And the reason I'm doing this right now is I want to leave it on for a while. I am gonna dry it a little bit. Now, Wonderskin. You're not watching, you don't care. But I need you to come up with liquid lipsticks that stay shiny and dry down entirely, that are in the shades of what your lip stains start as, because there's something so witchy and perfect and amazing about it, and I'd wear the fuck out of them. Totally dried down like the Vice Shake 'em Ups and the, oh, I have one right here, the liquid vinyls from Maybelline, where it's like it totally dries down but it stays shiny. Come on, Wonderskin, do it for me. By the way, Wonderskin, I really like their products. They don't really know I exist. Their social media manager will occasionally comment on my Instagram posts that I tag them in. They don't know I exist. Okay, I'm gonna take a long skinny-ish brush and I'm gonna dip it into a dark green wet liner. I am wetting my brush and then creating a slurry in my wet liner palette. I'm so sorry. And it's adding it to my brush, and I'm gonna try to do a winged liner, and I cannot look at the screen for this. So I'm gonna try to adjust this so you can see what I'm doing as I'm looking the other way. I am picking up more, and I might need to use a slightly shorter brush, but I like using the long skinny liner brushes for this because you can do more of the line at the same time. Same reason why when I start doing my nail art on camera, which I promise I will, I like using long striper brushes like this to do straight lines on my nails because you sort of lay it down and it does half of that line for you. And I'm gonna go way far out, and I did that absolutely on purpose. Sometimes I say I did things on purpose and I didn't, but this time I definitely did. All right, re-wetting my brush, re-picking up liner, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Now I'm much worse at this side. I realized that I hadn't stabilized my arm. People were like, I don't know how you do that. It seems like it would just go everywhere. Stabilize your arm. I'm resting this part of my arm against my desk. Oh no. To just try to give me as little shaking in my hand, so the only shaking is in my eyelid. Okay, so I'm done with this long skinny brush. I'm now going to take a long thicker brush in the same color, and I just need to make this a little less wet. So I need to pick up more of the actual liner itself, and I'm going to use this to thicken the line so it's easier to see. I like using a long skinny one to plot first because it feels less scary to come in with this second, and I don't know why. But like, look at that, thickening up that line. And I'm gonna drag this out to where it's supposed to be. I should use the long skinny one to drag it out where it's supposed to be. Sorry. Because this needs to go a little bit further out to match with that. Yes, I did a bad job on both sides. No, I don't care. Yes, I could clean it up. No, I'm not going to. I'm now taking a very small brush. I'm actually going to show you how I mix it with this Startruth shade made by the gorgeous and amazing Glam Geo. So I'm wetting my brush in a little cup, and then I am taking the water to the liner, and the more water you add, the more liquidy your liner gets. So I don't want to go crazy liquidy, but I need to make it smooth and controllable. And what I want to do is I don't think I'm going to be able to do this on camera. I'll show you what it looks like after though. I want to make it look like there is a vine wrapping around my winged liner. Yeah, let's see if I can do that on the other side. I'm gonna clean off my liner brush and re-wet and re-establish some good spreadable, usable liner. I'm gonna do the same thing in the other direction on the other eye. So I'm just doing sort of slightly curved diagonal lines across that dark green liner that I had on there, so that it looks sort of like it's curving over and around like some sort of like thicker tree branch or even bigger viney thing. And I'm doing that a few times, and then once I get to the winged part, I'm going to show the under and the over and the under again. So I definitely always do better on this eye. This is no exception, but I think I did okay. Now what I want to do is use the same color, and I want to add little leaves. Bad leaf, but leaf nonetheless. Leaves. Yes, I am just whispering leaves to myself. Cool. I'm fully cleaning the Chartreuse off of that tiny brush, and I am going to pick up more of that dark green, which is from the Lin's Glisten liner palette, which I don't know if it exists anymore because I know they were doing final restocks. But you can get plenty of dark greens like this, and I just want to make sure that this is established as crossing over the top of the vine. Awesome. And I think I am gonna try to do some like quick details on some of those leaves. A little bit more water. Little details. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna call that good. We're gonna call that totes good. All right. And my lips are very ready to come off. So I'm gonna wipe away the top portion with a somewhat wet cotton round. And got some. This is the old kitchen towel that I use for cleaning off makeup brushes. Okay, so as you can see, that darkened up my lips and didn't do and is going to stay there all day. And then I'm going to put just a tinted lip balm over top. It did get caught in my cracked lips a little, and I'm going to be okay with that. I don't actually care. And then our last step is mascara. So let's see if I can do mascara in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is the P. Louise from the advent calendar a couple of years ago called Frozen Fix. I really like it. Is it worth ordering from a British beauty brand that seems to have 150 million products, and so you're never sure what products are forever and what products are not, and you're never sure whether a new version of the mascara is going to work the same as the old version of the mascara. or if this Frozen Fix has a counterpart in the non-advent calendar world of P. Louise. Like, I find P. Louise a little bit frightening to order from because there's 100 versions of everything. And while it's all really cute and has really cute packaging, I just don't know. So this is just my volumizing. I then use a lengthening. My lengthening is always the same if I have it available, which is my Bad Gal Bang from Benefit. No, I don't always put on 2 layers of mascara, but when I do, the first one is volumizing like the P. Louise or the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes, or I've got a bunch of them. And my second one is always lengthening, preferably Bad Gal Bang. And that is officially the end of my look. The vines didn't turn out as well as I wanted, but frankly, I don't think anyone but me will notice. All right, thanks for sticking with me through all of this.